Welcome to the program Connect to the Enoch. I'm grateful that you've made time. As always, we do this with influential citizens, people who have over the years contributed to the development of our world. And today I have a man that I call an institution. When it comes to politics, when it comes to history, when it comes to music, entertainment, movies, I mean, name them. You can never talk about it without his blueprints. He is professor of medicine, author, at the same time chairman of a political party, a young political party that is called Progressive Alliance for Ghana, PAG, or PAG. This is an opportunity you get just once, because this interaction, believe you me, is just going to be one of a kind. Also, he happens to be the chief executive officer of Elmina Java Museum. So you know what I'm talking about. It's the oldest privately owned museum in Ghana. The oldest privately owned museum in Ghana. So you should come and check it out over there at Elmina on the roadside. And one of these days you'll see a documentary of it. And believe me, you're just going to love it. So I welcome you to the show. And I'm going to meet my man and one and only, Professor Thaddeus Olsen. How are you?
Thank you very much, Enoch.
Always looking good. Someone once whispered to me that if you really want to, but for your information, he celebrated his 70th birthday on 2nd of August. You see, still handsome. And there's this thing that I've heard, that if you want to grow, you should like or love women. And also like a little bit of booze.
Yeah, I see.
What do you have to say to that?
I think those are all signs of trouble.
Welcome, Prof.
Thank you.
But can you think of it? 70 years under the sun.
Yes.
What would you say about life?
Life is about lessons and opportunities, but there are also many events that we cannot control. So we basically have to do our best to deal with the cards that are dealt to us. But if there's anything I would say about life, is we should all learn to treat each other with kindness.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Before we start, just recently, we lost some beautiful Ghanaian citizens, about 8 of them.
Yes.
And this is the second time we've had this kind of situation in Ghana.
Yes.
The last time involved a friend of mine at Airwax Stadium. But this involved 2 ministers of state and other senior members as well, and some service personnel. What have you to say about them?
Well, it's a sad event. The whole nation is in mourning because these people have died in the line of duty.
Absolutely.
Serving the country. I think not until the complete investigation is done, we will not know what caused or what are the causes of the event, but hopefully after an investigation that is thorough, if there are any things that we can remedy as a nation, then we need to address those so that this does not happen again.
And this is where a lot of people call into questioning the kind of politicians we have. Because one will then ask the question, why would you have to fly if you have good roads? Same thing with the Galamsey and so on and so forth. Is it a wake-up call? Is it a message? How do you say it?
Oh, we have had many wake-up calls, but we refuse to wake up.
And is this one of them?
This is one of them. We just treat every event as an isolated event. But all of these things, as you intimated, are connected. It means that there is something inherently wrong with the system that we have built, that within which we are operating. I mean, a tragedy like this can happen in the US, it can happen anywhere, that's for sure. It's not unique to Ghana, but we have to really understand what caused this within our own context, because then we find the solutions for a problem like this.
I see. Yeah. Well, that's the man, Professor Thaddeus Olsen. I mean, because of probably the museum, I want to take you through a little bit of history.
By all means.
That is the first privately owned museum in Ghana.
Yes.
So I would love to, I know that is not a full though, but once you've built and established such a thing, I mean, like that, I would like to go into history a little bit, because
By
somewhere around the 15th century, that was where we had the Portuguese coming. And then we had, before, it was not called Ghana, it was not called Gold Coast. We had kingdoms. So how was it possible that these Europeans were able to penetrate a whole kingdom? Because when you talk about a kingdom, it's not an easy road.
Okay. So the moment you started with the arrival of the Europeans. That is the problem with our history.
Okay.
We existed long before then.
Okay.
But because our history is written by others, they start the story from when they encountered us. But we existed
long before.
Thousands of years before then. We actually, in Africa, are the seat of modern civilization.
All right.
Yes. So their encounter with us was just one small thing in a long series of events that make up our history.
But that encounter led to colonization.
That encounter, the aftermath of that encounter is something that we continue to deal with currently, yes. And your question is, how did they do it? Well, I mean, it's a complex question, doesn't have a simple answer. But yes, there were a number of nations, African nations, very much like how maybe Italy was configured in those days. Palermo, Sicily, whatever. Yeah, so we had Fantis, Ashantis, Ebe,
the Gonja,
yeah, all these kingdoms. And let us not be romantic about it. There were rivalries and wars and conflicts, our own issues. Just like they had in Europe, the 100 Years' War, it was not unique to Africa. But I think our biggest problem is that something happened here which was unique in the sense that after Europeans had a foothold in what is now America, in the Western Hemisphere, the plantation economy started and forced labor in the form of the transatlantic slave trade began.
All right.
And that is something that we are still totally unrecovered from.
Because we are still struggling with it.
Yes, because if a million, 2 million, 3, 4, 5 million people are taken away from a society, usually the most productive, strong, intelligent people are the ones who are removed and they are taken away. Then how long does it take to regenerate that vacuum? That's the first thing. It's not just anybody. They took the strongest, youngest, and most intelligent people. And what do you think that intelligence did? That intelligence is what built America. But they were not paid for it. But they built it. It was Africans who built it.
So we have to.
So we have to understand history from our own perspective.
Okay.
These days, the African Americans have become very tuned to exposing all the inventions that black people have made in America.
Okay.
Or that Africans have made in America. Everything from ice cream to traffic lights to telephones, all of these were invented by black people. So then we were left with a population that could not defend itself as well, of course, because it is young people who fight in war. So if, first of all, the bulk of your young people have been removed, you're already weakened as a society, just demographically, you know, in a very basic way. So, and also, the whole process of conquest was, it went on for maybe about almost 300 years of continuous conquest. And we have to say that it happened with a lot of resistance as well. We didn't just roll over and die. And so when we look at our history, people talk about the colonial experience in a very, I will use that word again, romantic way. Oh, the Portuguese came, then the Dutch
That is written in the books.
Yes, then the British came and the Danes, as if it was a tea party. But let me just use Elmina as an example, because this is where we are. Elmina had a relationship with the Dutch and the Ashantis. for many years, a political and military relationship. And then, at some point, the Dutch were no longer powerful. They had to sell all their possessions to the British. Now, when they did, the people in Elmina said, no, we don't want to have a relationship with the British. But eventually what happened? The British came in and bombarded the whole of Elmina with a naval ship. I don't think even children in Elmina are taught this history, but it's the history of their town. Elmina was the
mass
last
murder.
It was the last place to fall that made it possible for the British to declare a colony. Yes.
Say that again.
Elmina was the last place to fall before the British were able to establish a colony that they called the Gold Coast.
Gold Coast.
Yes. And that is why Kobnejan is venerated in Elmina, because he stood and said, no, we can't have this. And they exiled him to Sierra Leone. It was not only Prempeh who was exiled. Any king or chief who resisted was exiled. So he went to Sierra Leone and Prempeh went to Seychelles. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And this is missing in our history books?
Well, our children don't know our history. So after that, if you know your history, then let me put it this way. You will not always sort of think that the white man is your friend. But that is how children in Elmina, when they see a white man, oh, Bonyi Cham Kapre, the white man is their friend. No, this is not, they didn't come here to be friends with us. They came here to exploit this place. And what is sad is that if you are conquered, but you don't know that you are conquered, then you are really in trouble. At least if you are conquered.
I like you to go to detail to explain that.
Yes.
If you are conquered.
If you are conquered, but you don't know that you are conquered, you think you are free, then you are really in trouble. Because then you are not doing anything to mitigate what the enemy is doing, because you don't think you have an enemy. Look at how we call the Western world development partners.
World countries.
You think they are partners? No, they're only interested in exploiting us. So because we don't know we are conquered, we think all of these are friendly forces. And this is how our leaders go into the world. They think everybody is interested in helping us. Africa is the richest continent on earth, and people have been coming here to exploit it for centuries, and it is still going on. It's just that the mode of doing it is different. So let me put it another way. Say you are in a very, very big prison, a huge, huge prison. It is so big that you and your relatives are all in it, and you never see the walls. So you don't know that you are actually in prison. You think that you are free. That is our problem in our heads.
So the African is still imprisoned.
Yes. And we don't even realize it.
So it's a mental thing.
It's a mental issue.
And can it be diffused?
Of course. You can only diffuse it with knowledge. And to my point, if we are not even teaching our children our own history properly from our own perspective, so that they understand what has happened prior to their coming onto this planet, then we are not doing anything to address it. We are lost people. As Nana Kobnen Katia says, we are in coma.
And the African is still...
We are not awake. We are not awake.
What then would you say that colonization has done? It's with all these negative, things, what then would you say it has done to our world today?
Well, you see, it has done a lot of things. One, it extracted our resources without due compensation. And secondly, it also shaped the minds of our people to make them believe that everything that came from Europe was the best thing, and that we, the founders of modern civilization, have nothing to offer. Everything that we see today, all the technology, mathematics, astronomy, all of these came from Africa. But if you go and you ask a child on the street today, say in class 4, where did civilization come from? He will be pointing to Europe. So we have failed our own children. We have not taught them about ourselves, who we are as a people, what our contributions to the development of the world have been. We have not done that. So we have failed. And to answer your question properly, say in the 60s when people talked about Africa must unite, they were thinking about political unity, economic unity, and how that would be achieved. Right now, if Africa is going to unite, in my mind, it has to happen through a singular African curriculum for all children in Africa, to learn the same history of Africa, to learn about ourselves, one story, because it is only then that they will come out of that educational system with what? One African identity.
One mind.
One mind. Otherwise...
That cannot ever happen.
Well, you have to have a plan, and then you start thinking about how to implement it.
And at the moment, everyone is interested in developing his or her own piece.
Exactly.
So no one is interested.
So you get...
You are still going to be
you are going to get Africans with different identities, names, ideas, different levels of subjugation of the mind.
And interesting, when you go to some homes, it's bound to even speak Ghanaian or African language.
Exactly. Yes. That is how self-hatred, how self-hatred has become part of our daily lives.
Where would you place religion?
That's a complex one.
Very.
Because religion and spirituality, they are related, but they are also different.
Okay.
I think there's a school of thought also that part of the cost of colonialism is that we lost our own spiritual relationship with our environment and our being. So that also affected our identity, because we have now accepted religions that were imposed on us, and in that way we have also started following everything that comes from the outside. So religion is a big problem, but a person's relationship with God or Supreme Being or whatever you want to call it is really, to me, a personal matter. But at the same time, I recognize that religion has been a very destructive force in Africa.
Without any name to it, whether Christian, Hinduism, or whatever?
No, just I would say imported religions. Religions that were not indigenous to ourselves have really been a destructive
Because there are those who hold the same view that the greatest crime or the greatest sin to have ever happened, as far as colonization is concerned, is the introduction of religion.
Well, the thing is
and
that
also democracy.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that part.
Yes, but the conqueror came with his religion. He arrived with his religion and imposed that on us as part of the conquest, because that is the part that controlled the mind. Once the mind is controlled, he doesn't need to point a gun at you. He doesn't need to point a gun at you any longer, because
so more or less a lapping dog.
That's it.
One-on-one with Professor Ozin, like I told you, is a man that I call an institution. And